Good afternoon and welcome to council time this Wednesday, July 30th, 2025. We'll start with the councilor roll call. Michelle?
Counselor Young,
Here.
Counselor Little,
Here.
Chair Marshall,
Here.
and Counselor Belcott and Counselor Fuentes are excused today.
Thank you. Okay, are there any amendments to the agenda?
None today. Thank you.
Okay, on to public comment. And just a reminder on agenda items only. And we're retrieving the sign-up sheet right this moment. Thank you, Michelle.
Tanya Anger. Go ahead and push the button.
Good afternoon. My name is Tanya. First of all, I want to thank the council. My comment is on the turnover letter and the minutes of last week's meeting. First of all, I would like to thank the council for taking meaningful action in response to public concerns over the pause of the turnover timber sale, as well as public engagement in a trust lands tour. I am here to remind you of why preventing our oldest natural forests like the turnover and dabbler from being clear-cut is urgent and necessary. According to the 2023 IPCC report, with every increment of planetary warming, regional changes in mean climate and extremes will become more widespread and pronounced. Compound heat waves and droughts are projected to become more frequent, and our global food security will become increasingly vulnerable. The most extreme scenario of 4 degrees of warming will likely spell the end of civilization as we know it. Yikes. I really wish that wasn't an exaggeration. In this report, modeled pathways that limit warming to 2 degrees include and require immediate greenhouse gas emissions reductions in all sectors this decade. This is already evident in Washington State, as it was reported by the Washington State Standard July 2nd that over 500,000 acres of Washington forest contained stressed or dead trees. A spokesperson for the DNR said the main climate takeaway for Washington in 2024 was the continuation of long-term warming trends, and that for the third time in 4 years, the annual average temperature in Washington was among the 10 warmest on record. Washington's Climate Commitment Act states that Washington must reduce statewide emissions by 95% by 2050, while offsetting the other 5% to reach net zero. The same IPCC report states that reducing deforestation provides an immediate greenhouse gas emissions reduction, and one of the IPCC scientists authored a report in 2019 finding that leaving our oldest forest standing is the easiest and most cost-effective way of reducing emissions. Clark County is obligated by state law to include greenhouse gas emissions reductions plans in our comprehensive plan. You may recall that ag forest land use emissions makes up 20% of all county emissions, and that deforestation accounts for 75% of that category. Even though the Climate Advisory Group is working on policy to fulfill the state requirement, DNR is continuing to push through clear-cut harvests in the oldest forest that Clark County has left, areas that even they designate as extremely important for habitat connectivity. There has been no meaningful method of disputing their response to SEPA comments outside of litigation. That is why I and others are advocating to county leaders, you, to step in and initiate a working relationship where the public concerns are taken into account. You've already taken the first step towards a working partnership with the DNR to achieve mutually beneficial management plans, and I hope you continue to take this and other comments into account throughout that process. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Carmen De Leon.
Hi, my name is Carmen De Leon. I go by Mello, and I'm talking in reference to the minutes of my birthday, July 23rd. So I'd like to acknowledge Wendy Cleveland, who likes to call in and complain. So I wonder why I can stand here and say whatever I want, but if I start naming like I don't like this guy or that guy, I get in trouble. How come the public is allowed to call and criticize when they're sitting at home comfy? It's real nice to point the finger and say I don't like you, but I can't say that about you But she can say that about me, Miss Wendy Cleveland. I wonder, does she have a PhD in post-traumatic stress disorder? Because obviously she doesn't understand what you understand, because she said, why is Carmen De Leon allowed to talk? It's called a constitutional right to grievances with our government. So yes, if you're watching again, Wendy, they have to listen by law. I have freedom of speech, and I have by the Constitution, I'm allowed to air my grievances without threat to my freedom of speech. So yeah, they're doing their job by listening. I have every right to speak. And it's, I've seen you call in, but I've never seen your face. So why don't you bring it here? And that's why I'm saying to you, how come I can't say Glenn's got a conflict of interest? I can't say that. I can't say that, but she can say Carmen this and that, Wynn this and that, Kimberly this and that. Who the hell is she? Who are you? Who are you, Wendy Cleveland? And Clarissa starts with a T, her last name, who want to call and say things about me? I guess you have a PhD in people with PTSD? Who are you? Show your face. I show mine. Why can't these cowards show their face? Oh, and hate speech, I brought this for you because 80% of my fellow Americans say, if you don't like my country, get out. So yeah, if you're saying I don't like traitors, I don't like traitors. And if you don't respect my flag, get out. If that's hate speech, hey, I call it anti-American if you don't respect my country and my flag and my Pledge of Allegiance and my prayer and my dollar that says in God I trust. And I brought this to show you that if you don't recall, in the 20s and 30s, they advocated for smoking. It's good for your lungs. I Love Lucy would smoke on the TV because they wanted everybody to smoke. And they hid the fact that it caused cancer. Well, guess what? They're saying 80% of electronic cars are safe. Yeah, talk to me about smoking, why don't you? Here's the proof of how they're deadly. And that doesn't count the one in Arizona where they forbid atomic whatever cars that drive themselves because you can get trapped inside and die. So if that's your future you're looking forward to, you put your kids in those automatic school buses. I ain't. I don't trust automation. If a squirrel runs in front of the truck, it's going to kill your kid. You do that, not me.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone online, Michelle?
Yes, we do have 3 callers right now.
Okay.
Caller, you've been sent a request to unmute. Please go ahead and state your name for the record and go ahead with your comment. I'll move on to the next one. Brandy Cole, you've been sent a request to unmute. Please go ahead with your comment.
Are you there?
It's not the elect. I'm sorry. Let's go back to the other caller that had their hand up. Looks like they're trying to unmute. Caller, you've been sent a request to unmute. Please state your name for the record and go ahead with your comment.
Is there a third one that you could try?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Caller, you've been sent a request to unmute. Please go ahead with your comment.
Hi, Wendy Cleveland. Hi, everybody in the room that has to listen to this circus. I would just like to read the rules. Maybe Kathleen can help the chair start making people follow them. It says persons addressing the council will not make statements or remarks that concern private activities, lifestyles, or beliefs of others, including individual county employees or elected officials, topics unrelated to the business of the county, or professional duties and performance of county employees or employees of its elected officials. Persons addressing the council will refrain from conduct, statements, or remarks that are defamatory to county staff, uncivil, rude, vulgar, profane, or otherwise disruptive to conducting council business. The chair may ask any person making such prohibited statements or remarks or engaging in such conduct to leave the meeting. Courtesy, professionalism, and respect will be maintained at all times during county council meetings. I simply reminded the chair and the county manager of that last week, asked to please enforce the rules. I'll ask that again today. Please enforce the rules. None of us taxpayers that are online trying to be here in this meeting and participating for other reasons want to sit here and listen to the circus. I might do one better than show up in person, although I have plenty of times in the past, as you can all attest to. I might just run for county council, become the chair, and rein in the circus myself. See how everybody likes that. I don't know. Please follow the rules. That's all I have to say. Thanks. Have a good day.
Thank you. Can we try those other two?
Teresa Hardy, I've sent you a request to unmute. Please go ahead with your comment.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Teresa Hardy, Sierra Club. We support the letter to Commissioner Upthegrove related to the turnover timber sale. We are in agreement with asking for the pause and the reasons stated in this letter. Saving our Maturation 2 forests and habitat is crucial. At a meeting with Commissioner Upthegrove on July 25th with the Washington State Lands Working Group, Commissioner Upthegrove encouraged local counties to challenge the status quo. Here in Clark County, we ask that you establish a forestry commission to help us with ongoing forest concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have one more, Chair. I'm going to try again.
Okay, thank you.
Caller, you've been sent a request to unmute. Please state your name for the record and go ahead with your comment.
Good afternoon, Kimberly Goheen Elba, life citizen of Clark County, Washington. Talk about a zoo. Well, I do want to address that comment that Mello made about Wendy Cleveland. And she must understand the First Amendment rights. And she's being called out for hate speech. She also put out a possibility of running for office. That's totally illegal, I'm guessing. Otherwise, I could mention Justin Forsman for mayor of Vancouver.
Okay, no electioneering and keep your comments to the agenda. Thank
you. So that's
you.
what this is about. That's why it's a zoo. So we need to make sure that you're watching what she's saying too. Thank you for your service, Wendy, but you're on the wrong side, dear. And that brings me to this. This Clark County Council elected to sign up for the Gross Management Act, the GMA. They signed up for it. A lot of counties did not. The counties that did, most of them have sanctuary counties and cities, such as Vancouver, for the last 17 years that I've been preaching about for 5 years.
That's not in the minutes. It's not on the agenda. So if you could please
that is on the
keep
minutes.
your
It's very much on
comments
the minutes.
to the agenda
Thank
items.
you. Okay, I will. I'll also say then that you are doing the business. She mentions that the business of the council, but the business of the council is the people's business. And does trump it? We trump your policies and opinions. Now, I'm all for Wendy saying what she wants to say. I'm all for First Amendment rights. So we're going to all settle this like big people, okay, that love God, I might add. Keep our fish hatcheries going because we're going to be starving here pretty soon. Keep our habitats. The GMO, you guys need to stop following the state of Washington. That's the key. The people need to stand up and say no more growth. We don't need 40,000 more apartments and buildings in Vancouver that wants to be the second largest city in Washington state. So we better stop it now. Hello, you guys could have stopped over taxes too, and our property taxes. But where were you? Where were you, Wendy, when they were passing our taxes for property, huh? Because it's out to get the people to lose their property, take over our farms, our fish hatcheries, our rivers that you're polluting with sewer waters. You're taking over our parks and recreation. You're making big government to do it. People are not getting this, but you're doing big government to do it with nice people that say, well, we're going to help this and help that. Well, bunch of baloney. You guys are big government. You need to either go or conform to we the people. We want no more growth. Do an overlay, get out of it, call Governor Ferguson. He's on my list for some agendas that we got going. And that brings me to my emergency of this day. My son, Cleve Goheen Rengo, is in an emergency. And I want the world to know, which they will, if God has his journey in me. And that's what's going to happen. He has been damaged to, I don't even know where he.
Okay, your time is up. Thank you.
We do have one more person that's raised their hand. We're going to try again.
Thank you.
Brandy Cole, you've been sent a request to unmute. Please go ahead and do so and go ahead with your comment. Brandy, if you can hear me, go ahead and unmute. Looks like you're on your computer. Okay, Chair.
Okay, that concludes public comment. On to old business, minutes of July 23rd, 2025. Is there any changes, or if not, a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. On to 4.2 hatcheries, WDFW letter. Jordan, are you going to speak to this?
Yes, Chair.
Thank
Good
you.
afternoon. Good afternoon, counselors. For the record, Jordan Bogie, Senior Policy Analyst. The first item I have for you today is this draft here of the letter that was requested last week at council time for the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. I have proposed sending it both to the Director Suzwind, and then also to Southwest Director Ryan Sally, and requesting the information that council discussed last week. I will say, in addition, I have exchanged an email with Director Sally here in Region 5. She was able to send me a fact sheet related to the hatchery closures that I have shared with council. However, that fact sheet does not get directly into the reasons for the closure of the Skamania hatchery and the reductions on the Washougal River versus the closure or the lack of closures on the Toutle River, and whether or not the lack of funding that was the reason for these cuts is something that only impacted Southwest Washington, or was something that was in their discretion to do statewide. And so I think the letter is still appropriate to try to find some more of that information, and I'll keep tracking that down for you all. But just wanted to see if council is supportive, and if so, I will get the letter sent out.
Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan. I think the letter is good and to the point of what we're trying to get at, so I support it.
Okay, I had some further research since this was brought up, since hatchery, as well as habitat and hydro and harvest are one of the 4 pillars that impact recovery of wild fish runs. I think this is a much more complicated issue than just encouraging the hatchery program. So I would suggest that we find out more information. The Washougal, as I called the Lower Columbia Fish Recovery Board and spoke with Steve Manlow, and I think there's really mixed feelings about the impact that the hatchery program is having on the return of wild salmon. So So I can't support the letter at this time. I think we should continue to explore, and I would suggest that we have the Lower Columbia Fish Recovery Board come and present more information, and maybe ecology as well, about the hatchery program and recovery of the wild salmon runs in our area.
Chair.
Yes, please.
I would just say that to me, I'm reading the letter as simply that we're asking for more information from them. I don't know where we're going to end up ultimately with this at all, but I don't have a problem with asking them for more information.
I think more information is good, but I think that's that last line, to support our region's fish hatchery program. I think we'd need to know more about that and then make that blanket statement.
Would you be okay if we were to strike that sentence?
I think so, yes.
Okay, I would support it with that sentence stricken.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Thanks very
Okay.
much. So you have some feedback there, Jordan.
Thank you, Council. I will strike that sentence and get some more information from WDFW.
Okay, moving on to turnover timber sale letter.
Yes, thank you, Council. So this was the other letter that was requested last week to communicate Council's concerns about turnover and a request not to move forward with that auction or sale until such time as the pause has ended, and then DNR has had a chance to present their updated policy statewide and get the best available science into that, as well as receipt of public input. And so have drafted a letter to that effect and present it here for Council's consideration. So I'll pause there on the letter, but I do have another update as well after that.
Okay, any comments from council? I support the letter.
I do as well.
Okay,
That's three with me.
okay, that's what we needed. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, councilors. The other update that I wanted to provide to you all, as well as the public, is that we have been able to schedule that Trust Lands tour with the Department of Natural Resources, and we have been able to structure it in a way to allow the public to participate. So the tour will happen on September 12th. The tour will leave the Chalachi Prairie General Store at 8:30 a.m. on September 12th. And all the counselors in attendance will be able to ride up from the Chalachi Prairie General Store with DNR to a couple of sites. It'll be a half-day program ending back at the general store around noon. And folks who wish to participate from the public will need to provide their own transportation, but will be able to come up with council and join and hear in the discussion. We are still working on finalizing the exact agenda for the event, but it will be on September 12th, and it will be noticed on the council website, as with any other public event where there are multiple counselors attending. And so we're really happy to be able to do that, and I appreciate the DNR for their flexibility in working to develop a process where we can make sure that as many folks as possible are able to join in the conversation. And so kudos to them, and appreciate their willingness to work with us.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions from council?
Just one, I'm sure this has probably been thought of, but is there parking available for us that we aren't going to disturb the store there?
We will need to work on that. I know, I think there's a couple of side roads there too. So maybe, I guess it depends on how many folks show up. If counselors are parking, it would just probably be a couple of cars, and staff, maybe we can carpool to minimize the impact. And folks who are going on the tour will need to bring their own vehicles to follow the DNR van, so they will not stay parked at the general store. But we can look into that to make sure we're mitigating any kind of impact and not overwhelming the parking lot there.
Yeah, that's a good question. I was wondering about logistics as well. There is a gravel parking lot across the street from the store, so we won't be parking directly at the store. Do we need to, would there be any concern regarding the number of people that, from the public that might go up and coordinating that in any way?
Well, Chair, we talked about this a little bit in a planning meeting yesterday with some of the DNR folks, and we don't anticipate there being like 50 people showing up. I guess it is possible, and if that were the case, it would potentially be a bit of a challenge, but likely with the number of folks that would join, hopefully it would be it'd be workable in terms of the tour, and we can plan out some contingencies in case there are a larger volume of folks. But that is sort of the unknown with a public meeting, and that was one of the challenges that we had talked about initially, because you can't necessarily know how many people will show up. It's an open public meeting, but we'll do our best to wrangle. And one of the things we did talk about yesterday as well is we plan and have contingencies for the worst case scenarios, but most of the time, it would be a handful of committed folks who are really interested showing up, and we'd work to make sure that we can navigate those issues. We'll do our best.
Oh, thank you. I see Councilor Little, you have your hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan. I've never done a meeting out in the field like that, so I'm just wondering logistically how it would work. Say I was the only counselor that showed up. How would a meeting proceed logistically, and how would you take notes and collect public comment? Just how would it work?
So thanks, Counselor. Those are good questions. So it would not be a council meeting per se. So whenever we have 3 counselors at any event, even if they are not necessarily engaged in speaking at that event, we try to notice it, just because there could be conversation that happens, and certainly there will be conversations that happen here, but council will not be taking any final action, and so there is not a requirement to do public comment at this meeting, and so it would really just be for members of the public to listen in, and depending on how it's structured, there may be some opportunities for some dialogue with the public as well, but mostly it would be for counselors to hear and learn from DNR about what management is happening, and engage in the beginnings of a dialogue about how we might be able to work together on shared policy goals.
Okay, got it. That's helpful. I do have a related question. We've heard from the community that they'd like to have some sort of committee that of stakeholders that helps us make decisions on forestry decisions. And so I'm envisioning it would look like the agriculture committee that was formed recently. And I was just wondering, I would be interested in looking into the steps that we would have to take to create a committee like that, and whether it would be advisable to just limit it to forestry issues, or if we'd want to include all natural areas or parks or something like that. But I'd like to just investigate a little bit about the steps to create a committee like that.
Councilor Little, I think that's a good idea. Let's complete this 4.3 turnover timber sale letter, and perhaps you could bring that up during policy updates.
Okay, great.
And we can
Thanks.
chat about it and see if there's interest on part of the council to move forward with something. Thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Great. Okay, is that it for now, Jordan?
That's everything I've got on 4.3. Thank you, Council.
Okay, thank you very much. So on to item 5, new business, 5.1, second quarter financial update. And we have a distinguished panel coming forward.
Trying to silence me.
Try that.
I'm trying. Oh,
Oh, there you go.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you. Good afternoon, counselors. Greg Kimsey, Clark County Auditor. With me today is Mark Gasway, County Finance Director, and Mitchell Kelly, the reporting manager for the Financial Services in the Auditor's Office. And today they're going to present to you the annual comprehensive financial report, for which I'm very pleased to be able to tell you that once again, there are no findings from the State Auditor's Office. There's not even a management letter item. So congratulations to the entire county for those results. And also the popular annual financial report. And then they also briefly provide you an update on the quarterly financial results. And then I do have one other issue I'd like to discuss with you regarding county's financial policies.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we'll start with the second quarter financial report, which is posted at this time. We take a look at the comparing general fund revenue to the prior year and just look at the trends of what's happening. As you can note, the property taxes have slightly increased 2%, just over 2%, and then other revenue has also increased. That's primarily in investment revenue that we've collected. There's a slight decline in sales tax that we've collected year to date compared to prior year. And primarily that's because of 1 month that we had a significant drop in sales tax that was collected. We're keeping an eye on it to see if that trend continues, but overall, we're pretty confident that the sales tax will bounce back for the rest of the remainder of the year.
Could I just ask, what
Yes.
was that 1 month that it dropped?
It was the month of March.
Month of March. Okay, thanks.
And I just also want to add, one of the sectors that we're seeing a lot of weakness compared to prior years is the construction sector. So we just haven't had the sales tax revenue from the construction sector that we've had in the past few years. So that, we're able to look at the different areas where we're collecting sales tax, and that's primarily where we're seeing the decrease right now. So that we're keeping an eye on it. So yeah.
Thank you. Moving on to general fund expenses, we compare our budgeted expenses to actuals, and you can see the salaries and benefits on the bottom of the first page. Salaries and benefits are just a little bit over 50% expended for the year. That includes the expenses that we had incurred for the Me Too settlement that was included in our planned budget. So it's not surprising that it's slightly over, but it is tight. And so considering the remainder of the year, we'll just be keeping an eye on the general fund expenses for both salaries and benefits. And then supplies, services, and other charges were just about 50%. So also that's pretty tight that we'll be keeping a close eye on. But we do have a little bit more of the remainder of the year for general fund expenses.
And if I could just add really quick, I do believe for the settlement, there's contingency also set aside.
That's
so
right, yeah.
I don't ever want to lose that. It's not like we're over. We actually have funding set aside to cover that.
Yeah.
And just kind of an explanation, when we do the budget and actually submit the annual budget, the timing is such that if we don't know the exact amount, we'll have that budgeted in contingency. And then if it's needed, it'll be moved up into that salary line. So that was purposeful. We knew that we would have a settlement, but we didn't know the exact amount at the time. Now it's actually been expensed into this year's expenses. So.
Great.
Great. So then moving on to the road fund, we take a look at the road fund budgeted revenue and also expenditures. The second quarter is when property tax was collected. So there was an increase in the revenue collected, and there's about 60% of the budgeted revenue to collect, which is expected. We'll have our second round of property tax collected in October. And so then they'll have their full revenue collected for the year. And then the expenses for the second quarter, about 70% of the expected expenses are remaining, which is also expected. The summer months, which aren't included in this quite yet, are the big time when there's a lot of road expenses incurred. And so we'll see the third quarter a significant increase in those budgeted expenses, matching more aligning with the actual expenses aligning with the budgeted expenditures. Moving on, as we've noted in the community development, the action of the council in prior year, we're seeing that there's a continued reduced amount of general fund subsidy that we would anticipate to be sent to the Community Development Fund. And we're keeping an eye on that, and we anticipate that will continue to be lower than it has been in the past. And finally, the Public Safety Sales Tax Fund, we keep an eye on this as well, as advised by council, the council's requests for us to explain or to go over the revenues. We've collected about half of the revenues, which makes sense. It's about half of the year that we've completed this year, and then the expenses are about 60% remaining of expenses for that fund.
I have a little question here related to community development. That bar graph, that is land use review and the wetland habitat review, are those actual negative numbers? We're subsidizing
That's right.
those. Is that because I believe we're trying to recoup all of the actual costs? So why are we in negative?
We've been in negative for several years, and in past, the general fund has subsidized over $1.5 million. So we've based on what council did last year, we increased the fees that we collected. So we'll see that reduce, but it started at a negative. The fund balance for those two types of activities were started at negative. So we're recovering, and we plan to continue to recover as those fees align more with the expenses that are incurring. But yeah, we started at a significant negative, and we're reducing the general fund subsidy by the increase of the fees that were collected now. And so we would anticipate that general fund would be subsidizing less and less as we continue to collect those fees.
Great, thank you for that. So are we at 100%?
Not
Not quite.
So
So we're working
it's-
our way there.
Yes, it's a couple $100,000, I think, right now versus the 1.3 to 1.5 million. And they will be coming back to council to look at annually to look at these fees. And right now they're estimating maybe a 3%, but council will be hearing that in the next couple of months from them directly.
Great, thanks. And I see Councilor Little's hand is up.
Oh, yes.
Go ahead,
Thanks.
Councilor.
Yep. Yeah, I just wanted to, I know that someone mentioned the settlement and called it the Me Too settlement. I know that we've been calling it that for a long time. I understand the reasons why. I was curious if we internally could use a different term or just call it the settlement or something like that. I was just wondering legally if we can use it, call it something else. And just for the public's sake, could someone describe what it is? Because it has nothing to do with the national Me Too movement that the public and it may confuse the public.
Yeah, I would recommend saying wage adjustments and
Okay.
leave it at that because I agree with that. This has started a long time ago, and I think that's the most appropriate way. But again, I want to also be mindful, and it's not just you guys, it's brought up a couple times about, oh, this impact. Well, we actually have the financials to account for that impact. So I would just say wage adjustments.
Thanks for that comment. The terminology is unfortunate.
Yes, I apologize about using.
Oh, it's not you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, then moving on. Do you want me to do that? Yeah, go ahead first. Yeah.
So we also want to take just a few minutes to present the 2024 financials. They're completed now, and as Greg mentioned, they've been audited. And so I just, I'm going to hold this up. This is the 250-page financial report that the auditor's office prepares on behalf of the county. And I just want to point out a couple things. We don't expect anyone to read this all other than ourselves, but I just want to point out a couple of things for you as you go through and have a few spare minutes to look at this document. First of all, in the introduction page on page 1, it is addressed to the citizens of the county and the council. So this is prepared by the auditor's office, but it is on behalf of the county, and it is to you and the citizens that it's directed to. So this is the 38th consecutive year that the financial report for the county has received the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence, which is out of the 50 years the program has been in place. We were a little bit late to get started, but 38 years is a significant accomplishment. And Mitchell was telling me he believes there's only 2 other counties,
Government agencies.
two other governments in the state that have had the certificate longer than we have. So on page 9 is the state auditor's letter addressing the unqualified opinion that these financial statements fairly represent the condition of the county, the revenues, expenses, and assets that the county holds. And that's on page 9. And then if you do only have a few minutes to read anything out of the 250 pages, there's a section that starts on page 13 that's called Management's Discussion and Analysis. And it gives an overview of the financials and some of the significant events that have shaped the financials. So if that's all the time that you have to read, I would recommend that you would read that section because it has a lot of qualitative analysis of what this whole document represents. And so that's kind of just a summary. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. And again, it is a big document, 250 pages, and it has a lot of information in it. The information that is in this report, excuse me, is relied on when we go to rating services for our bond rating, for outside investors when they're buying those bonds. And so there's a lot of technical information in here, but we try to also use the sections that are appropriate for that qualitative analysis. So if there's ever any questions on what you might read in here or about this report, you're more than welcome to call me or Mitchell or Greg, and we'll try and help you find the information that you're looking for. So
Thank you. That's a stellar record. Very much appreciate that. I've dog-eared those pages, so thanks for giving us the summary there. Are we moving on to
Yes,
this?
and we'll finish with we'll finish the financial statement preparation or presentation, talking about the popular annual financial report. This report is designed to make financial information of the county more accessible to a wide variety of users. And as council suggested last year, we did place both the annual comprehensive financial report and this report in the libraries, in our library system. These reports are also on our website, and anybody can view them if they should be in all the libraries and also online. This report has a lot of the same information that is in the annual comprehensive financial report, but much more condensed. A few of the pages I just wanted to point out is as you go through it, it talks about the history of the county, the current elected officials. It gives our statement of net position and the growth that our county has experienced over the past few years. On page 5, it talks about the revenue growth and then also the expense growth. One thing to note in the expenses, over the past, since 2022 to 2024, you can see the expense growth of the county in total. Specifically, the line of public safety, the council has supported public safety an increase of 32% over that time period in just those 2 years. So significant support to our public safety needs for the county.
And I just want to define what public safety in this report means. It's primarily our sheriff and our jail. So when we talk about public safety, sometimes we include things like courts and other things. This line is specifically defined, meaning the public safety of the sheriff and the jail, whereas the courts and some of those other things are part of general government by definition and in the accounting definition. So
Thank you for that clarification.
Yes.
It's good to know.
Yes. And then continuing on, we identify the significant sources of revenue and also our expenses by function. Continuing on to the next page, in page 7, we talk about the growth of general fund. There's a chart at the top that shows that we have an unassigned fund balance that increased from 42 million to 57 million, primarily because of the last American Rescue Plan revenue recovery money that we were able to transfer to general fund. That was the last year that we could do that, so that won't happen at that amount again. But that's just something to note, and that's the reason why there's such a large increase. And then we have how property taxes are distributed on that next page with the.
I'd just like to
Yes, go
pause
ahead.
on this page because I like this report. I've taken it out to neighborhood association meetings and point out that the property tax dollar amount that comes to the Clark County is 7 cents out of the dollar. I think it was 8 cents last year,
Maybe I have to look at that.
but
Yeah.
this is a very useful document.
Thank you. I just want to touch base on a couple final things. Last year, it was requested that we include spending related to supporting the unhoused. We worked with Department of Community Services to also include a portion at the bottom of page 9, where we describe how much money the county has paid for supporting the unhoused in this reporting period. And so we also note at the top of the page our closure of the American Rescue Plan funding. So that is the report. We're planning to also share this with the library so they can be available to the public at all the public libraries, and then also they're available online.
Great, thank you. And if I could get maybe 50,
50.
That would be great.
Absolutely.
I would love that too.
Okay.
50 each.
50 each. I
Okay.
think
We can do that.
We can do that.
We can do that.
we do the neighborhood association circuit.
Okay.
Yes.
One thing I might add, when you look at the report in the PAFR, there are references to other web page. If you go to the online version, we actually have a hyperlink in there. So if you're looking at the support for the unhousing and it references those reports, you can actually link right to the web page on the county website. Unfortunately, in the print version, we can't do a hyperlink, but on the online version, we do have those hyperlinks in there. So
Great. Some people like hard copies, but
Yeah.
they'll know where to get it.
Yes,
Get
yeah.
more information if they need it.
Yes.
Any questions from counselors? Go ahead.
Just a comment. I think we may have hit on it last year, either at this report or a different report, but it would be really nice to see inflation also considered as a part of the report, especially when we can see like our percentage revenue increase and you can compare it to inflation.
okay.
But excellent work. I appreciate you giving us giving everybody multiple sources. Somebody can dive in deep if they want to, but they can also get the surface level general information that most people are interested in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Counselor Little, did you, your hands up? Go ahead.
Yep, just wanted to thank you for this good information, and I only need one hard copy. We'll save the trees.
We have them here ready for you when you come in.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you again for your attention to this very important work that Mark and Mitchell and their team does. Actually, the entire county is involved in the preparation of the annual financial reports. Again, I want to make note that particularly this year with the COVID relief money, no findings is a remarkable achievement. And so kudos and thank you to all. If I could now, as I mentioned, I have another financial related topic related to the county's financial condition. And if I ask Rich Cooper, our elections director, to join me, because this relates directly to the elections office as well. So come on up, Rich. So over the next 9 years, the elections office intends to purchase approximately $2 million of capital assets to replace our sorting machine, voting system, additional ballot boxes, ballot box cameras. Over the past 20 years, almost all of our elections equipment, so if I just described, plus the recent expansion of the work area, almost all that's been funded by grant dollars. Now we have obtained, of that 2.2 million, we have obtained $254,000 of grants to go towards that $2.2 million. But I don't think you'll be surprised by my prediction that the grant dollars will be much more limited in the next 20 years than they were the past 20 years. So that leaves us with a $2 million funding deficit for that capital equipment. So instead of coming to the county and the county council and asking the general fund to provide that $2 million over the next 9 years, we are implementing a new charge for all jurisdictions as part of our billing of election costs. This charge will be referred to as a capital asset replacement and acquisition charge, or CARA. So whenever a jurisdiction has an office or an issue on the ballot, it will be charged a certain amount per voter for each voter they have in their jurisdiction. That amount we currently established at 10 cents per voter. That CARA charge will then be adjusted over time as equipment is purchased, revenues come in, the account balance is generated, our forecast projected capital expenditures change, and of course, if any grants are received. To illustrate that, even our current projections, we project that CARA charge will go from 10 cents to 4 cents in 2033. So, of course, this CARA charge has to be, if we're going to charge one jurisdiction, we have to charge all jurisdictions. And because our cemetery districts have such limited resources, we are asking the county council that the general fund provide a subsidy to the cemetery districts to cover this, to pay for this CARA charge. If we don't, if we were to not charge cemetery districts, that would just mean other jurisdictions would be paying a greater amount. You can't have one fund benefit another fund, but the general fund can provide that subsidy. To give you a perspective on kind of the financial impact of this, over the first 10 years, the county's general fund average annual CARA charge will be about $42,000 per year. The average subsidy for the 4 cemetery districts would be about $2,400. And you'll note I'm saying about in estimates. I use that a lot through this presentation. Kind of the bottom line of this is we have a little over $2 million of critical elections infrastructure we're going to need to purchase over the next 9 or 10 years. We can fund that through this CARA program, where the county will pay about $400,000 and all the other jurisdictions will pay about $1.6 million. And if we can get more grants, those amounts will be reduced. We have confirmed with the state auditor's office and also the Secretary of State's office that this is an allowable billable item. Currently, there are at least 5 other counties in our state that have a similar charge to jurisdictions. I fully anticipate other counties will implement this type of charge as they realize they need to replace their current capital asset infrastructure and find that grant funds are not available. This request will be on your agenda item for next week's council meeting, and I am happy to answer any questions or concerns you might have about this.
Councillor Young, I see your light's on.
Yeah, that was by accident, but I did have a question. So when does this equipment need to be replaced currently?
Well, there's a varying schedule. As you well know, everything elections focuses around the presidential election. So, and we are loath to install major new pieces of equipment immediately prior to a presidential election. So much of this equipment is purchased. The major amount of the expenses will occur after the next presidential election. We will spend, we have a schedule here, $124,000 this year, $400,000 next year, 126 in 2027, 600,000 in 2029, 600,000 in 2031.
Okay, so I'm trying to kind of grasp this. I mean, because we've had that equipment for some time. So there's a short period of time between now when that equipment needs to be replaced. So the amount that we're going to charge the different jurisdictions, is that to achieve full payment of that, or, you know, full fund collection for those replacements? Does that mean at that point in time, the rate would likely be reduced because now you have a 20-year replacement schedule or something of that nature?
Right. Yeah, exactly, Counselor. Exactly. The model is, or the projected financial needs match up with the projected revenue. And as we get through, this is a fairly, as you kind of imply, it's for the major asset are the sorting machines, about $1 million, but they have about a 20-year life. Our current sorting machine is more than 20 years old. The vendor has told us it's end of life. They're not going to support it here in a couple of years. Maybe we can stretch it out. We hope to be able to stretch it out through the next presidential election, but it is a 20-year piece of equipment. I think, as I mentioned, we do project that in 2033, when we get through this kind of major capital investment period, that car charge will be decreased to, we expect 4 cents per voter.
Okay, yeah, so it is a little bit higher upfront, then it'll level out. Okay.
Yeah, we'd like to avoid borrowing money because paying interest simply costs everyone a little bit more. But it is a trade-off between having low car charge now versus borrowing money. Do you have a higher car charge now and not borrow money? So it's kind of a delicate walk.
And I will say, that is one of the things that I noticed when I went into the elections office the other day is the sorter machine. And it's got that cream colored old plastic look to it that was so prevalent during like the 90s. So yeah, it's an old machine.
It is an old machine. It's, you know, it still works just fine. And we are hopeful we'll be able to continue to use that through the next presidential election. But we do need to we want to make sure we have the ability to replace it when we need to.
Yeah. Okay. I think this is great. I think that it's important that everybody pay their fair share. And I think I see that as being this.
Yep. Thank
you.
Thank you.
Councilor Little, do you have any comments?
No comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you coming forward with your need and also a funding source. So thanks for figuring that out. And would this be, I'm not sure if I heard this correctly, would this be a 10-year window when this would apply? Is this sunsetted or?
Well, you know, it'll go on in perpetuity because there will always be ongoing capital expenditure needs in the elections office. But again, as we kind of discussed here, there's a cycle to it. And, you know, the sorter is, we expect to be a 20-year cycle in the sorter. The voting tabulation systems, the voting systems are more of kind of a 5-year cycle. And then who knows what else might pop up in the future. But what we want to be sure to communicate to county as well as all other jurisdictions is that, you know, we don't want to accumulate more money than we need, but we do want to accumulate enough money to do what we need to do. So, I mean, the whole program will be very accessible and transparent to anyone who has an interest in it. We will be, I think we're talking about at least every 4 years, sitting down and taking a really hard, serious look at all the assumptions that go into the model and determining if, you know, are we collecting enough money? Are we collecting too much money? So.
That sounds good. And so that the fee amount will fluctuate as the need fluctuates.
Yep. Maybe there'll be huge grant dollars coming at us. Then we'll, maybe.
Okay, maybe. All right. Thanks very much for this. Okay, we're moving on still to new business proclamation request. Jordan, can you tell us about this?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good afternoon again, Council. So we received this proclamation request from the Clark County Arts Commission. As you'll recall, last year, Council did provide a proclamation for a Lifetime Achievement Award that the Arts Commission did for James Lee Hansen. They are getting ready for an annual event here in October and would like to recognize Karen Madsen with a Lifetime Achievement Award, and a proclamation from the council would be a part of that. Karen was part of the original Clark County Arts Commission group and was part of the group that came forward to the council at the time to request the creation of the Arts Commission. She was the second chair of the Arts of Clark County, which is now Artstra, which is a nonprofit that serves as the fiscal agent for the Arts Commission. She's a respected visual artist and painter, and she was instrumental in organizing and implementing a couple of different arts and culture summits that have happened over the past several years, including creating a voice in 2012 and creating Space for the Arts in 2017. And so she's done a lot of work behind the scenes to fiscally and personally support many artists and organizations through her work, has helped launch several different programs in Clark County, including Clark County Open Studios, Poetry Moves, and Arts Alive. And so this request comes to you now, and if council is supportive, I'll work with the Arts Commission to draft a proclamation to bring forward for final approval, and then that would be read sometime in October. It sounded like maybe the third week of October or so, and then they'd also, I think, like to have the proclamation also read at the event celebrating her in addition to the council meeting in October. And so that's the information I have available. Happy to take any questions and see if council would be supportive of moving forward with this.
Okay, thank you. Councilors, any questions, thoughts, support? Thumbs up here. Councilor Little, I can't see your thumb, but you
Thumbs
can
up.
say. Okay, perfect. Is anyone inclined to have a desire to read this one, present this at their event?
If it works with my schedule, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, now moving on to councilor reports. Are there any reports from councilors? Go ahead, councilor.
I have one, and that was, it actually took place last week, but there was too much going on last week. So, and actually, Rebecca Kennedy from the city mentioned that there was a large group of people that went on a tour that was organized by the Building Industry Association. And I just wanted to share one little tidbit that I received from it. It was pretty interesting. And there was this one development that was being worked on, and it becomes very complicated. There's every jurisdiction that you could possibly include, including the Army Corps of Engineers, that had some level of supervision and approval requirement for this particular development. And in the process of one of them leaving a plant, was discovered that there was contention as to whether or not it was considered a rare plant, but it was eventually ruled that they were going to have to all of their work and their permitting was going to be altered by the finding of this one plant, and it was the only specimen that was found on the entire lot, and it was quite a ways away from the wetland. And what it did was it changed the wetland from being considered a category 3, which is kind of a smaller one. There's not quite as many regulations, not as much mitigation required, and it bumped it up to a category 1, which is really expensive. So all in all, that one little plant ended up costing about $300,000 in additional development costs. So just it's, when we talk about affordable housing, it is tough. There are so many things that can happen, and sometimes I don't know what the plant was. I don't know how rare it was. I don't know if it was native to here, but all of these, the decisions that in this case, it's far beyond us, but all these little decisions can have a large impact on housing. So just a reminder when we all look at all of our codes and everything to keep that in mind.
Okay, I have a couple things, and I know Councillor Little, you had wanted to talk about the Forestry Commission, but I'll just have a couple of quick reminders that I'll slip in here. I want to remind people that the county fair is starting this Friday, August 1st through August 10th. There's something for everyone to enjoy at the county fair. I know I'm going to be going this Saturday and see George Thorogood. So, but there's also you can take your choice of food eating contest. There's pie, hot dogs, watermelon, donuts, or cheeseburgers. So if you're hungry, the county fair is a good place to go. And then just a reminder as well, CTRAN has, I think, sent out information to all of us counselors to convene as the composition review committee for the CTRAN board. That's coming up this August 12th at 5:30 at CTRAN. It's a special board that will make recommendations about the composition of the CTRAN board. And at this moment, we're out of compliance with state law. So there'll be some interesting things to talk about. But we all are a part of that. So just please get that on your calendar.
Fair.
Yes.
I don't recall getting any information on that. So maybe if you could forward that email, that would be great.
Will do. Okay.
And then on the 12th, I'm probably not going to be here, but I will do my best to see if I can get on online. That is an option.
Yes, I believe so.
Great.
Thank you. I'll work with Michelle on that as well. Okay, Councillor Little, you had something.
Well, the only thing I wanted to mention in council reports was that I also was on the tour with Councillor Young at the BIA tour, and appreciated having the opportunity to learn all the issues involved when we're trying to build housing. As for the other topic, didn't you suggest that we talk about it during policy?
Yeah, we could bring it up at policy. Maybe that's more appropriate.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you. So that concludes Councilor Reports work session request.
None today.
Okay. Policy updates. Jordan, we'll start with you. 8.1, indigent defense lawsuit update.
Yes, counselors. So just wanted to give you an update here. I know I had forwarded some information last week to you on this item, but as you'll recall, the state of Washington only pays for a little over 3% of local indigent defense costs. The rest are borne by local governments, mainly counties. And the Association of Counties last year sued the state of Washington over not funding this constitutional right that we are mandated to provide, but are not given funds to administer. In that original lawsuit, the Association of Counties was found to have lacked standing to file suit. The association appealed that ruling and won. And so just wanted to give you a heads up that the association, the lawsuit is continuing. And so we'll see where it all goes. But indigent defense funding and funding for public defense is constantly something that we are working around. The new caseload standards are going to increase significant costs as those ramp up over the next decade. And so in the meantime, we will continue to work with our legislative delegation and partners at the state to advocate for more state funding of indigent defense. But that lawsuit is currently moving forward and may change the tenor of the conversation around that to some degree, depending on how it all plays out. But just wanted to make sure that you all were aware that that's ongoing, and also keep folks in the public aware that the county and the Association of Counties is really advocating for the state to fully fund and support indigent defense in Washington.
Thank you. Sounds like good news. Any other reports?
That's all I've got for you today.
Okay, Counselor Little.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, and thanks, Jordan. That's important news on indigent defense. That unfunded mandate, I just can't imagine a judge wouldn't say that the legislature needs to provide funding for that important service. So it's good news. Okay, so as for advisory committees, I was thinking a little bit more about what I know and what I don't know. And I think there's a lot I don't know about advisory committees and how many we have and what subjects they cover. And most importantly, which subjects that we deal with are not covered. And I guess I'd like to know more about that. What issues are we working on that have advisory committees and which ones don't? I'd like to start there, but I'd also like to investigate having an advisory committee like we have for the agricultural issues, to have one for natural resources issues, including forestry, natural areas, and parks. And I don't know if we have an advisory committee covering any of those issues yet. So just curious about that, and also what the steps would be that we would take to start considering that, creating an advisory committee for that.
I think
I'll just
Go
share
ahead,
some,
Kathleen.
and I'll share some initial information. And Counselor, we can send you a link. All of the advisory boards and commissions are on our website. There are more than 30 that are currently out there. There is a Parks Advisory Board, and actually Michelle just pulled it up on her screen. So I'll just start with there. We do have a lot, but there's some that may overlap a little bit based on the services. I know for the forestry side too, I know there's an assessor farm advisory committee. It really advises the assessor's office on guidelines for assessing open spaces and timber and all that good stuff. But
well, I can share with the process with the agricultural commission. The council thought it was a good idea. The Board of Health had already undertaken a project to look across the state. Access to local food was identified as a public health need. So they were looking into across the state, all of the counties that have an advisory group related to agriculture. They compiled all of that information, and from that, we sort of selected all of the pieces that we thought were best to include. And it came back to the council, I think initially as a work session, but then as an ordinance, and there were public hearings to set that all up. And then there was a, and in that process, it identified the scope of work and issues and the membership and makeup of that committee. So that was the process that the Ag Commission went through. So maybe, I don't know. I've been interested in all our boards and commissions and advisory groups related to consistency of bylaws and some things like that. But and if it's just forestry or if it's natural resources, I think there is some overlap related to legacy lands and parks. Maybe that's a scope that maybe I would suggest Jordan. I see you up on the screen there. And we often turn to Jordan to do some preliminary legwork related to this. It might be good to look to see other counties and if they have forestry advisory groups or natural resource advisory groups. I guess I'd kind of lean toward maybe the broader natural resource scope, but I'd be supportive of further exploration into this notion. Councillor Young?
Yeah, I think I would be supportive of looking into it. I don't know whether we need an advisory board or more something of the nature of like a task force to kind of help us build a policy, an overarching policy. But yeah, I'm certainly willing to ask Jordan on his spare time if he could flesh this issue out for us a little bit and maybe give us some advice and ideas and perhaps look at other counties and what they may be doing. It also too, it brings up the issue of what our role is, exactly what the role of DNR is. So I think we're still working on some of that. And I think just some preliminary looking into this, along with some of the meetings that we're having and work sessions that are coming up, I think will help inform our decision on that.
Good thoughts. I agree with that, because I think as these issues with Dabbler and other forests, we don't really have a full grasp of who owns what land and what role, what jurisdiction we have, how it ties into county programs like Legacy Land. So that, I think we're on that path, and maybe we expand it a little bit as suggested. Councilor Little, do you have any other comments, or County Manager?
Oh, I just want to share also, it might be when you're talking about a task force, there is a Clark County Forest Stewardship Plan that was done in 2017. And I think our forester may have touched on it during the work session. And it was specifically for some of ours that have the forest, like Camp Bonneville, Camp Hope, Green Mountain, Spud Mountain, but maybe like an update to that, because I think that's where your policy would be influenced into that plan in coordination with the experts that know that.
And that was
17.
17.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, back to you, Councilor Little. Do you have any concluding remarks?
Yeah, that sounds great. And thanks for supporting that idea. I think there's enough there that we're working on in this arena that we would be better served having more input from the community and stakeholder groups, including conservation interests, including timber industry, products made from timber. I think just hearing more directly and more formally from an advisory group be helpful for our decision making.
Great, thank you. Thank
Sure.
you for bringing this up. Yes.
Just one last little tidbit. At least I can speak for myself. Whenever I say and ask Jordan to do something, I'm leaving it at the purview of the county manager to make that assignment. If you think somebody else would be better fit for that, then I just don't want to look like we're directing Jordan here. So just wanted to touch on that.
You're okay to do that. And I know Jordan, I'm not sure, I haven't seen her in a while, but we do have an intern this summer as well. So there might be some opportunities to have them support either this project or like the bylaws. And I know I've talked to the chair about the reviewing the bylaws, and I agree, consistency makes life a little easier, but we also have to look at who originated it, who has the ability to update it, because some of it was council driven, some of it is driven by the board and commission. So that is a bigger project, but I think maybe the intern is going to take a stab at it.
I know that's a little bit of a gnarly mess. Okay, great discussion. Jordan, do you have anything else on the policies or any other council member?
Chair, another thing I'd say is we do have a Parks Advisory Board as well. I haven't worked closely with them to know exactly how much they overlap with the Legacy Lands piece of things. But I'm always happy to do some research for council and get things kicked off and move to the right departments or folks as appropriate. And yes, we do have Esther this summer as our intern, and I can talk with her and see if that's maybe a project we can have her work on. I know right now she's learning a lot about the county, and we're hoping to have her with us through the fall to maybe get a project as her senior project as well for the upcoming school year. And so that could be something where a project that's a little bit larger in scope might be a good fit. So I'll chat with her about that.
Thank you very much.
Can I just add one quick thing?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I was just thinking about TDRs, and we approved earlier this year a session on that. I think we're gonna hold off till the comp plan is done before we jump into that. But I've been focused on that as a really good planning tool for how we decide where we're gonna grow in our community, and also which areas that we're gonna preserve for the long term. And I know that Agriculture Commission is going to be really key on helping us determine where are the highest, most important agricultural uses that we want to preserve. But I think this committee or task force or commission for the other natural resources will be really useful in TDRs to determine kind of the highest priority natural areas that we want to focus our energies on conserving. So just want to add that.
Sounds good. I was also thinking of TDRs when we were talking about the affordable housing and how much we're developing here and there, and if there are ways to provide those incentives for developers to do a little more density or another floor, or maybe that can be looked at as we're looking at some of those code changes as well. Where would be the incentives for the developers to make it worth their while to participate in a TDR?
Yeah, good point. I have heard that is a good tool to be used to either incentivize or disincentivize different affordable housing things. So you can get pretty creative in TDRs and how they're implemented.
Right. Okay, thanks very much. So that concludes policy updates, correct? Okay, executive sessions?
You have none today.
No executive sessions. Okay, that concludes our agenda, and without objection, this meeting is adjourned.